The concept of the American dream first began with the religious group known as the Puritans. The Puritans were a religious group in England that wanted to cleanse the Anglican Church. As a result of the Puritans' heretic actions, the English monarch began to persecute the Puritans. This in turn sparked the creation of the Puritan Separatists, which were a group of Puritans who felt that they needed to separate completely from the Church of England. These Puritans traveled to the New World in search of one thing: freedom of religion. When the Puritans arrived at Plymouth Rock, they established their new colony at Plymouth Bay, Massachusetts. William Bradford's book of Plymouth Plantation outlined the Puritans' goals to create a society with the freedom to practice their own religion and to separate from the Church of England. The Puritans' colony, founded on the basis of freedom of religion, was a huge success. The Puritans dreamed of freedom of religion, and for the first time, their dream came true. This was the beginning of the American dream. The Puritans also signed a form known as the Mayflower Compact, which set up the first democratic rule in the New World. This will be the next step in the American dream. For 8 years, American forces fought against the tyranny of British King George III. These Americans wanted freedom and independence from the British Empire. The American forces were willing to do whatever it took to gain their independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Declaration of Independence, 1776. Another important aspect of the American dream in this time period was the idea of social mobility. In Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, he explains how as a young man he arrived in Philadelphia poor and knowing nobody. By the end of his career, however, he was a rich and successful politician. Fast forward over 100 years to the Great Depression. The idea of the American dream has vastly changed. With high unemployment rates and people losing all of their life savings, Americans started to believe that the American dream was becoming unattainable. This idea is mirrored in John Steinbeck's novella Of Mice and Men. In Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men, the two main protagonists, George and Lenny, had a dream to own their own farm. This dream, however, never worked out even after they worked hard their entire lives, because Lenny died, so therefore they never achieved their dream farm. Many Americans began to believe that the American dream was just that, a dream. With FDR's implementation of the New Deal, a revitalization of the American dream began to take shape. FDR's famous For Freedom speech outlines the changing values of the American dream. Those being freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom from want and fear. In the words of FDR, all citizens of the world deserve to be free from tyranny, and it is America's job to preserve those rights for everyone. No other era has come to define the American dream quite like the 1960s. In an article entitled Rethinking the American Dream by David Camp, it states that during the 1960s, home ownership was a fundamental goal, as well as 2.5 kids and a white picket fence. Therefore, the American dream during the 1960s can be defined as perfect family values. The American dream is still relevant today. In this recession, the American dream has been delayed, not disappeared, and there is still hope. In the words of Russ Will's article, American Dream still has a pulse, he states that the American dream might be dormant or derailed, but it isn't dead. To me, the American dream has not disappeared at all. However, it has changed throughout the years. To some, the concept of the American dream has been influenced by society and the media. To me, however, the American dream has changed throughout the years. Today, I feel the American dream is the ability to be able to fulfill your educational experience to the fullest and to be able to achieve the perfect job. The American dream will always be relevant. The American dream will always be strong, and the American dream will always continue to evolve.